So as promised, here's my good friend Clay from his channel Pantherology. As the name suggests, he covers the Carolina Panthers. Clay, how you doing today? Let you introduce yourself.
What's going on, guys? So my name's Clay, and my channel is Pantherology. So I cover the Carolina Panthers. I've been doing it for about a month or two now. So just getting acclimated with with the YouTube going. But other than that, I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself, Ryan?
Doing well, man, and I feel your pain as far as getting used to the YouTube game goes. It's a lot of wrinkles to kind of kink out at first, but
For
once you get
sure.
going, man, it's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So as you're aware, there was a few Dallas Cowboys players that were former Panthers. Now we can just say there was a couple, as
Yeah.
one just got cut today. So I'll
Yeah.
get to the elephant in the room in a little
Mhm.
while. But first, I want to talk about Daryl Worley, who's a defensive back. He's played safety before in the league as well, but he was kind of picked up as a depth piece. And I know he was drafted by the Panthers. I want to say in the third round. He was in Carolina for a couple years. I think he got picked up by the Eagles and had a little run in with the law. Got cut by the Eagles. Was in Oakland for a couple of years, and I think he's had his best couple of seasons the past 2 years. He's a guy that started a lot of games, but not somebody I necessarily know a lot about. So I'll let you speak on that a little.
Yeah. So Worley joined with the Raiders, in the free agency about 2018. And thanks to, I think, his willingness to play overall, the secondary from outside corner to the slot to the free safety. I mean, he's 6'1", 215. He's only 25 years old. He's only missed one game in the last season, which was with a neck injury in like week 15 of, I think it was 2019. And he's had like an interception, a fumble recovery, 8 pass defenses, and like 58 tackles, 51 tackles solo. And then, he signed with the Raiders after the whole Philadelphia thing. Released him after being arrested near the team facility when he
Yeah,
allegedly.
I didn't get the details on that,
Yeah,
but it looked like he kind of had a confrontation with a cop, and it didn't go well.
I don't know if no. Well, I mean, I don't know if he was drunk or what, but they said that he fell asleep near the team's facility when he was allegedly found passed out inside his
Oh
vehicle
man,
blocking a highway. So I don't know how you do that.
yikes!
But he was the third round pick. We picked him in the third round in the 2016 draft. He's out of West Virginia. In his career, though, he's had about 5 interceptions. But the thing about Dallas is Dallas hasn't had a cornerback with more than 3 interceptions in a season since Terrence Newman, who had 4 in 2011.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's something that we definitely made it a big statement we wanted to go after in this offseason. We went after Mike Nolan, a defensive coordinator, to cause more turnovers, give more
Absolutely.
different looks to the offense. And now I'm kind of forgetting who said it the other day, but they were kind of speaking to, and I think it might have been like Jordan Lewis or somebody, but he was speaking to how, and maybe it wasn't Jordan Lewis, but anyway, he kind of talked about how Jason Garrett ran a defense and Marinelli where it was kind of predictable, and it wasn't necessarily always a bad thing because we had such good personnel. But now we're not really going to know what's coming. The other team's not going to know what's coming. I mean, and
Yeah, I mean, with him, it's kind of like up in the air. I mean, obviously, though, like he did at the Raiders, and John Gruden elaborated on him, like how he can play in so many different positions. And he has the willingness to play. The question is, how good is he? Who has he been given that right amount of chance? You know what I mean? Like, is he gonna
sure.
come in and automatically start? Is he gonna make the cut? Who knows? But the fact that he has the willingness to play and can play all these different positions, I think, kind of puts him in that, like, where he might work out well with the Cowboys. And granted, the Raiders aren't the best team to think that you're going to get developed very well right now. I mean, they're still rebuilding. They're very young, just like we are. And then y'all have more of that coaching staff that obviously I feel like could develop players more just because they're, I guess the word is, more experienced.
Okay, sure. So one thing I wanted to mention from training camp, this was from the first day. I haven't really seen anything since, but we had Chidobe Awuzie starting on the left side, and we had Anthony Brown starting on the right side. We had Jordan Lewis starting in the slot, which I think is perfect for him.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know Anthony Brown spent some time in the slot in the past as well. But Trayvon
Mm-hmm.
Diggs, our rookie out of Alabama, he's
Mm-hmm.
starting he's the backup on the right side right now for Anthony Brown. And then the left side backup would be Daryl Worley right now. So it's interesting because typically you'd have a 4-game preseason, and a guy like Worley would get a ton of play time. I want to point out we also have 4th-round pick out of Tulsa, Reggie Robinson, who can play corner and safety. So it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be a fight for that 5th spot, I think, on the depth chart.
Yeah, for sure. If I'd like to see Worley do good because knowing the fact that he can play so many different positions or can play more than just one position, he's actually very versatile. And I think that in this league, when you can be versatile, you can play safety, you can play slot, you can play corner, you can be kind of put wherever, or middle linebacker. It's like a Isaiah Simmons, you can kind of play all those things. In this league, that's big.
Yeah, and it's something we've really preached the whole offseason is position versatility. One name we'll mention later can play both defensive tackle and defensive end, and that might be Gerald McCoy, but we're not going to have him this season. Another one, Tyrone Crawford, and it looks like we now have a couple corners who can also play some safety. So
Yeah.
that's interesting. I have a couple notes I want to pull up on Daryl Worley on my phone here. Let's see what I said. So you mentioned he had the 58 combined tackles. I put that was 4th on the team.
Yep.
He was tied for 2nd on the Raiders last year with 8 pass breakups. And he's only 25 years old. You also mentioned that. You mentioned he was 6'1", 215. I didn't know how big he was. That's a pretty decent-sized corner. So that suggests that he definitely can play in the slot and potentially at safety some more.
Right.
Yeah, I put free safety. The only other thing I wanted to say was the only free agents with the same amount or more pass breakups as Daryl Worley last season that are under the age of 30 are Logan Ryan and Prince Amakamura.
Mm-hmm.
So he was actually a pretty big free agent as far as defensive back depth is considered, in my opinion.
Right. No, that's some good points there.
And so now I want to get to go ahead.
No, you're good.
Okay, now I want to get to Dontari Poe.
Okay.
So I think he played a lot of his career in Buffalo, right?
From what I know of, yes. But most of his career was in Buffalo.
And so I should get Danny's opinion on him as well. But
probably.
But I know he spent the last couple years in Carolina. Big dude. He's like 6'3", 350. And as a Dallas fan, like that's the kind of guy we've been needing is just a big old nose tackle to fill up the center and stuff the run. Now, I know that Carolina hasn't had the best rush defense in the league. As a matter of fact, they were one of the worst last year.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to point out that that y'all's pass rush last year probably wasn't the best.
Mm-hmm.
We had DeMarcus Lawrence, Robert Quinn. This year we have DeMarcus Lawrence, Everson Griffin, Aldon Smith, and I hope Randy Gregory. But the jury's still out if he'll get reinstated. But kind of want to hear from you what you think we can expect from Dontari Poe. We have a lot of depth at the position, but obviously losing the one guy we're going to talk about next, that's going to hurt us. Let's see your thoughts.
I mean, Dontari Poe, I mean, is obviously, I mean, he's a massive dude, and the key stats for him, he's played 11 games. He had 22 tackles, 4 sacks. I mean, the guy can obviously play. He's not like the big defenders that you hear about, but he can still play. I think that, the thing that you have to think about is he is coming off an injury. So yeah, he's coming off a quadricep injury. And then he passes physical and he's back. So that's the thing you have to think about. He's a key force along the interior of your defensive line. The question is for y'all and for him, how good is he going to come back after a quadricep injury?
So he had a quad injury too then.
Yes.
And so I did see on the depth chart from last year, he was on the IR. I mean, how much did he play last year? Did he play at all?
He had 11. He played 11 games last year. He had
Okay,
22
so he played
tackles
most of
and
the
he had
season.
4 sacks.
Okay, so he
Yep.
played most of the season. I'm assuming he's mostly a run stuffer, but if you said 4 sacks, then he is somewhat of a pass
Oh
rushing
yeah, he
threat.
can get in there. He's a big boy. It's just that he he can get in there. He's just more the guy who stuffs the line for you.
Gotcha. And yeah, and he still isn't off the PUP as far as I know. He wasn't on Monday anyways. So hopefully,
He actually that actually just got announced around 7:30 tonight that he got off the PUP.
okay, so he should be returning to practice then.
Yes.
So
Yes, he
that's good
should.
to hear. Because as far as returning veterans, Tyron Crawford, who was injured last year, he's coming back. He can play on the inside,
Yeah.
outside. I was kind of talking about position versatility earlier. Antoine Woods is another guy returning from last year. So we do
Mhm.
have guys we can rotate. Tristan Hill was just a second-round pick last year. Neville
Mhm.
Gallimore, a third-round pick this year.
Yep.
So we have a lot of depth at that position. Not necessarily any great starters, but I would say Dontari Poe is definitely the biggest dude on the roster,
Oh
possibly.
yeah, I mean he's 6'3", 246. It's just he's a massive dude.
Yeah, huge guy. So last thing I want to get to, or not last thing, but next thing I want to get to is the elephant in the room, Gerald McCoy. The bad news today is he got cut.
Yep.
Off the injury reserve. So I got the notes on this. He was released with an injury waiver, and I guess because he had a pre-existing condition with his quad before he
Yeah,
signed with us.
he already had a quadricep injury, I think, from us.
Mm-hmm. And so before he ruptured his quad with us, he had that pre-existing condition. So I guess that allowed for the injury waiver. Not too sure how that works. We have to pay his bonus. I think we owe him $3 million this year, $2 million next year. But at the same time, we did owe him 16 or 18 million over 3 years, so 6 million a year. So we're going to get off the tab of a decent amount of money with that. I don't think we plan on signing a defensive tackle as of now. We'll see what happens in the future. I did read the team has interest in bringing him back next year, just depending on how his rehab goes.
Yeah, I mean quadriceps injuries are they're not easy. So
Yeah, so it sucks, man. It sucks as a Cowboys fan, but also just a fan of the player. I hate it for him. I don't
well,
know
it
if you
sucks for
remember
your
when.
defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it went from defensive tackle really being a strength for once, in my opinion, to it could be okay, but it could definitely be a weakness of the team.
What I
I don't know
wanted to
if you.
elaborate on with him and losing him is that
Mhm.
the connection that him and Dontari Poe have, like from playing with Carolina. So having that chemistry could have helped that defensive line and that interior a lot.
Yeah, that's very true. They have built chemistry through Carolina. It sucks, man. There's no
Yeah.
good way of putting it. I don't know if
No.
you remember the Buccaneers were on, and I think it was when Dirk Cutter was the coach, were on Hard Knocks a few years ago, and that's when Gerald McCoy was like in his prime. He was like 28 years old,
Yeah.
and dude's just a stud, man. Just the hardest worker on there, great athlete, great personality, just an
Mm-hmm.
overall leader, man.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to ask you, but like, what is it like having a healthy Gerald McCoy on the team?
I mean, the guys was our best defensive tackle on the team last year. I mean, the guy put up great numbers last year, and when you lose a guy who's experienced and can play and just is a I think he's a Pro Bowler for sure, defensive
Absolutely,
tackle.
yeah.
When he's in his zone, when he is healthy, he's a Pro Bowler for sure. And I think so when you lose like a guy like that, with the fact that Dallas already has, I feel like maybe some troubles on the defensive side of the ball already, and you lose a guy like that, and then you've already added all these offseason moves, and also to help out DeMarcus Ware, you know.
Demarcus Lawrence. Lawrence,
Sorry,
yeah.
DeMarcus Lawrence. Thank you.
I
Thank
mean,
you
I
for that.
wish we still had Demarcus
Yeah,
Ware.
I mean, but I meant DeMarcus Lawrence. You know what I
Yeah.
meant. But I mean, if you think about it, if you had had them two together, fully healthy, I mean, that's a combo.
Yeah, sure. I hate that he's 33 years old, having another big injury like this.
Yeah.
I really do hope he can recover from it and come back and still be, if he's a fraction of the player he once was, then I
It's
think
going
he
to be
still
hard
can.
because of his age. It's going to be
Yeah,
harder for him for
absolutely.
it to heal a lot
They
easier with
definitely
his
said
age.
in the NFL a ruptured quad is a tougher injury due to his age and his
Yep.
size. It's a tougher injury. However, due
Mhm.
to his athleticism, that kind of gives him somewhat of an advantage in
For
recovering from it.
sure. But I think with adding Don, when you add these guys like y'all got, like when you added oh my gosh, let me get my notes here because I had this going. So like when you added guys like you added Everson Griffin,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
you
that
have
that was a big pickup, and I think even now it's bigger than ever with
yeah,
McCoy being out.
and then you have him, and then you have Dontari Poe, then you got D Law, then you got Alden Smith, you know, and then you said talking about Randy Gregory, you said maybe Randy Gregory. Why is
And
there maybe by his name?
because the NFL just hasn't followed up and reinstated him. As
Right.
you know, the NFLPA, it's a new rule where they can't be suspended for testing positive for THC.
Right.
So the rules kind of set up for guys like Josh Gordon and Randy Gregory.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Gregory's apparently done rehab, and he's had a couple slip ups, but he's doing pretty much the right things. And he's just waiting to hear, but he's been waiting for months. He's reached out to the attorney for the NFLPA. He said he's having a hard time communicating with him to communicate with Roger Goodell. I think some of it has to do with Roger Goodell and Jerry Jones having the fallout they had. So, he should be reinstated, but he probably should have already been reinstated when they changed that rule.
Yeah. That's unfortunate for y'all. I hope he gets. I mean, for y'all's hope, I hope he gets, reinstated. But
For sure.
if he doesn't, when you still have D Law, Don Poe, and you got,
Mm.
Griffin, and I still think Alden Smith is still a solid.
Let me
You
tell you,
know,
man, hadn't played a snap in 5 years. He comes in first day of training camp and goes toe to toe with Tyron Smith, and they called it a draw.
so I
So
mean,
there you
so
go, man. He's a
so he's
bad dude.
obviously still. So he obviously could still play. So then you got these guys that are experienced. So I think that's going to definitely help you on that side of the ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the
So,
experience and the professionalism goes a long way with that group.
yeah, no doubt there's a lot of experience that a lot of guys come from some really good teams, like Everson Griffin. He's
Mhm.
competed. I want to say they made the NFC Championship. So
Yeah,
in
when they
Minnesota,
beat
yeah,
when Stephon Diggs had that big catch against the
sure, yeah.
Saints.
hmm So they played some big games, and
Yep.
now I'm gonna get to a question I asked Danny. Now I'm gonna
Yeah,
ask you.
for
First, I want
sure.
to hear, what do you think is the biggest strength of the Cowboys position wise going into the 2020 season?
Well, I mean, that's an easy question. The strength obviously is not even just going to say like your offense or whatever, like or your defense or whatever. Like I'm going to give you a position.
Cool.
I, Obviously, as a Dallas fan, and you know this, and as a
Mhm.
fanfare favorite, it's y'all's receivers. It's unquestionably your receivers.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair answer.
And so, as far as that, I think probably there. I mean, when you have Amari Cooper and you got Michael Gallup, and then you get C.D. Lamb, you get all these guys. And then you got these guys. And do you also have Randall Cobb?
No, so he went to Houston.
Okay, but you still got those three guys right there, and then who's backing those three up?
Yeah, gosh, we have so many guys on the roster right now. I can look it up. We got Ventrell Bryant. I think Noah Brown's still on the roster. Devin Smith from Ohio State still on the
Okay,
roster.
all
Let
right.
me look at the
I
depth
can't
chart.
even
I know Tavon Austin walked. I think he just signed in maybe for the 49ers.
maybe. But I mean, those three guys. I mean, just right there is just immaculate.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll touch on that in a second. Definitely want to get to a good old Wikipedia. Will save the day here. So we got Noah Brown, as I mentioned, Ventrell Bryant. We know about Cooper and Gallup. John Vay Johnson. He wears TO's number 81. He's actually pretty fast. Don't know a ton about him. Tevin Jones, I believe, is a rookie. 6'2", 225 out of Memphis, undrafted.
Okay.
And obviously CD. Aaron Parker. Okay. Cedric Wilson Jr. is the guy I was forgetting, out of Boise State. He's a 6'3", 210, can play in the slot. And he hadn't impressed me too much yet, but hopefully he'll be getting more opportunities.
Well, it's just the thing about your wide receiver group is it's the versatility. Again, it's all about the versatility in this league. It doesn't matter what position you play. It's just like you could put CeeDee Lamb in the slot, but then you could put CeeDee Lamb go downfield, or you could put Amari Cooper in the slot, or you can put Amari Cooper downfield. You can put Gallup in the slot. These guys can do basically anything a wide receiver needs to be able to do.
Yeah,
and then last year you had Michael Gallup and Amari Cooper with 1,000 yards, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mike McCarthy was talking about it today. Michael Gallup was a 1,000-yard receiver in his second season with Dallas last year. He's only the third Dallas Cowboy to ever do that. The other one is Bob Hayes, Hall of Famer, and Drew Pearson, a soon-to-be Hall of Famer. So that kind of says a lot. And McCarthy thinks that Gallup's ready to take it to the next level this season. So whatever that could possibly even mean, especially with the addition of CeeDee Lamb. I don't necessarily think guys will have more yards, more touchdowns as far as a guy like Gallup goes, but he might be just a little more efficient.
Yeah.
Less drops.
As far as your as far as your wide receivers, man, y'all are just solid there. You don't have to worry about it. And I think Dak's going to have a solid year. It's just all about putting everything together with the new coaching group.
Yeah, no doubt. I also think running back is going to be a big receiver position. There's going to be a lot of receptions. PPR leagues are going to love Tony Pollard. I think there's going to be a lot of two-back sets with him and Ezekiel Elliott.
Yep.
And so now I got to know what's our biggest weakness from your perspective.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, and from what I've seen, the least amount of hype that I've seen from y'all is your secondary.
Okay, so I want to say Danny said the same thing. So the secondary is somewhat unproven, untested, considering Byron Jones was our guy last year. Now, Wuzier's played plenty. Anthony Brown's played plenty. We saw a lot of good things from Jordan Lewis, but he didn't start in the slot as much as I would have liked him to, due to he just wasn't the kind of guy Chris Richard liked playing.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Though. I could go on and on about your secondary, but like another thing is like I think another group that you have to particularly look at for y'all too, and I'm going to go back to offensive side, is your tight ends. Your tight ends are not that they're not that great. I mean, Blake Jarwin, he's here and there. He's hit or miss. He shines one minute, the next minute he could do something. Like he'll drop a pass or something. And then you got Blake Bell and Dalton Schultz. So, I mean, these guys, I don't know how much experience they have. And I think Blake Jarwin's coming in his third season or second season?
So third, I believe. I will say that it's a very untested group, right? Especially Dalton Schultz and Blake Bell, who was with the Chiefs last year, but I think it was third on the depth chart. And when you're behind a guy like Travis Kelce, you're just not going to get a lot of balls thrown your way. Blake Jarwin's the one guy, in my opinion, that has some real breakout potential because for a tight end, super athletic. He's quick. He's a home run threat. And that's something we haven't really had at tight end in a long time. Not that Jason Witten didn't get his fair share of touchdowns. He got open, but he wasn't explosive like a guy like Jarwin.
And I think another thing for me is not even about your tight ends. Like I think another thing that y'all might be struggling with, and it's just because it's been a roller coaster for y'all, is your linebackers. Because like in 2018, think about it, it seemed like y'all were on the way up. And then the 2019 just came crashing back down onto y'all.
Yeah, it was a rough year. And, it's another year where we're going in with Sean Lee probably as a starter on the weak side. The one thing I did want to mention a linebacker is, and I'm struggling for names, Jalen Smith and who's the star, Van Der Esch, are switching spots. So Van Der Esch is going to be in the middle now as more of a pass coverage linebacker. And we're going to use Jalen Smith at times as a pass rusher on certain blitzes. and just using his raw natural athleticism more. I think Van Der Esch is really good in pass coverage, so I think he'll fit that middle linebacker position a lot better.
I mean, for me, on your defensive side of the ball, I think your best groups for y'all is your defensive line and your safeties.
Yeah, I agree. Defensive end for sure. And safety will be interesting to see. Clinton Dix was a solid player for a lot of years in Green Bay, and it'll be interesting to see how he shows up in Dallas, plays under a familiar coach.
Didn't he take a year off or something, or like?
Yeah, I really can't think of it. He definitely missed a season.
I don't know if it was injury or he just took a year off.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and look that up. He definitely missed a year.
But I do want to elaborate on your linebackers. I don't think your linebackers are bad because they're certainly very good. It's just that the fact that, like, 1 minute, it seemed like, like I said, the 2018 they were on their way up, and then just 2019 just went right back down.
Yeah, and I think part of that was playing Jalen Smith in pass coverage. He's was just finally fully recovered from that drop foot injury he had a couple of years ago that took him, a year, well over a year to fully recover from. So I think it was kind of asking too much of him to be the pass coverage linebacker. He runs real great north-south, not so great side-to-side. So I think switching the positions, that could definitely help us out, putting those two guys in more of their natural position. And hopefully Sean Lee stays healthy.
And then I wanted to elaborate on your cornerbacks. I just feel like Trayvon Diggs and Reggie Robinson II seem to be show some level of hope for y'all and excitement but reality is that they're rookies. And then you got Chidobe and Anthony Brown and Jordan Lewis, who will probably most likely be doing most of the work there. They haven't had the highest success before, but maybe now they can start coming into their own. I just think that maybe Trayvon Diggs and Reggie Robinson might be y'all's future.
Yeah, I really think Trayvon Diggs, in an ideal world to me, he'll step up and be starting over an Anthony Brown, or hopefully Chidobe Awuzie steps up as a starter, because we drafted him to be a starter. I think it was a second-round pick a couple years ago.
That's a hell of a name.
Anthony Brown, I want to see more of his depth. It is. So it's Chidobe Awuzie.
I mean, I've gotten so much, even there's not
Chidobe,
yeah, there's players on our team that I don't even I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, but I got a video coming out about Kawan Short, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right.
Kawan, like Kawhi.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would guess it's Kawan.
Yeah. So
there was somebody on Danny's episode the other day I was watching with you.
Yeah,
that you didn't know how to pronounce their name. It was a weird name.
Was like
one of the linebackers.
It was like Epidede or something. And,
yeah, dude.
And Danny said the first time he ever said his name, he got some hack for it. So I don't know. I might get some.
Yeah, that's a tough name to say. Sometimes I get it wrong. I've definitely learned over the past couple of years, Chidobe Awuzie.
Yeah.
So hopefully he'll start. Hopefully at some point Trayvon Diggs will take over that right side at defensive back. Yeah, I really like Jordan Lewis in the slot, man. He's a good he's the best tackler on the team.
Yeah, it should be an exciting year for y'all. I think, to be honest with you, NFL in general is going to be an exciting year for everybody. I think, with us, with the new coaching staff and a whole new basically offense, and then y'all got a whole new coaching staff, and then the offseason add-ons that y'all have got, it's just going to be an interesting year for everybody. It's kind of like the NFL is up in the air, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way. I can't wait to go on your channel and talk about the Panthers and how much they've changed pretty drastically from one year to next. So
I think, to be honest with you, the drastic changes I actually are looking forward to. And I think that they're actually more positive changes. And let's just say we got some drama out of there that didn't need to be there anymore.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, I can't wait to talk about that. Clay, before I let you go, do me a favor and just give me a wild guess, the Cowboys' prediction for our final record this season.
I mean, from what I know of and from what I saw on your schedule, your schedule is pretty – I mean, your division is kind of up in the air. So it's are the Eagles going to, are the Eagles going to be able to put everything together? And is Ertz going to be I mean, not Ertz, but is Wentz going to stay healthy? You know what I mean? So it's like, you open up the season with the Rams, right? So you open up the season with the Rams
in LA at the new stadium. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you're at the Rams. And I'm looking at your schedule and I'm going through and you got I think the Rams is a win for y'all. I got you beating the Falcons as well. I think the Seahawks is going to be tough. Like, Seahawks are very good. It's every year that team is just a solid team all around.
Yeah.
Like,
so I'm gonna go and say you're cheating if you're looking at the schedule. You just got to give me a prediction off the dome.
A prediction off the dome.
Yeah.
You gotta let me look at your schedule real quick, though.
No. I just want to hear, with the talent on the team, without knowing who we play, assume we just have an average.
I think with the fact that everything with the offseason, with the offseason moves and the things that y'all have done with the team on the offensive side, and you get CeeDee Lamb, and like we were talking about Gallup, and you got Zeke, you got Pollard, you got Amari Cooper. So it's like there's nothing in your offensive line. So it's like there's no holes there on the offense. To be honest with you, I think y'all have probably the second best. I probably think y'all have like the second best offense in the league. Because I mean, I'm going to put Kansas City there first, obviously, just because it's fair. Kansas City. They just
won the Super Bowl, man.
Right. So it's like I would say that they're probably, y'all are probably second. So I'm going to say, just because your division, I'm going to put y'all first, and you're going to win the division. And I think I said the same thing on Danny's channel, and I see that kind of y'all being like almost a Buffalo Bills, but obviously more offensive. I think it's going to be like a 10-6, 11-5 season.
Okay, I think my guess was 12-4, which is a very reaching, like, positive guess for me. You know me pretty well. I'm usually pretty negative about them.
I mean, I predicted a 9-7 season this season, and that's like the best case scenario. And I think the worst case scenario for us is 7-9. So it's backwards. Yeah. So it's like I think y'all are just the thing that is questionable for y'all, and it's gonna, like I said, it's the linebackers, and it's your secondaries. That's where you might struggle. You're gonna put points on the board. It's just like Danny said, and I believe it too. Even when I think about your offense, you're all gonna put points on the board. That's no problem. The fact of the matter is it going to be enough? Because teams might be able to put the same amount of points on you. You see what I'm saying? So
absolutely. We have a new coaching staff on defense, so it's going to take time to get acclimated with all the guys.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for the prediction.
No, I know. I threw you a little curveball.
So I'm going to say 10-6, 11-5, cool. First place in the division. I'll probably put the Eagles second, Giants third.
Okay. The Washington football team.
Yeah, the Washington football team. But to be honest with you, man, I kind of like the Giants this year. I kind of think
I like the Giants. I like the Washington football team as well.
I think to be honest with you, I won't be shocked if the Giants make the second in y'all's division.
Yeah, I think it's a toss up, man. I really do think the NFC East is a toss up. I think we're clearly the most talented team in it, but from there, I think it's a toss up. Clay, I really appreciate you coming on, man. Hopefully we'll have you back again soon, and hopefully I'll get on your channel pretty soon.
Yeah, we'll definitely plan that out. I appreciate you having me on. I'm glad we were able to do this. Anytime you want to talk about some Dallas or Cowboys or anybody in general, I'm open to it.
Cool. So that's Pantherology, guys. Clay, if you want to just plug your Twitter, Instagram, any of that real quick, feel free.
Yeah. So my Twitter is, I think it's Claymation843 on there on Twitter. And then I'm pretty sure that my Instagram, I actually might have to look at it because I've changed my Instagram so many times. I think it's Ropstar92. So, and then of course, if you want to look me up on YouTube, it's Pantherology. People have hard time spelling it, I think. So, but I'm gonna spell it out for y'all real quick. It's Pantherology. I think people forget the R in there before the ology.
Sure. Cool. Well, that's Pantherology, guys. Definitely go follow, subscribe him, like his videos, and check him out, man. He's good Panthers fan. I like your content, man. I'll watch all your videos, and that's pretty much going to be it, guys. We're out. Peace.